Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Degenerates Corner. I am Garrett from Iowa with the man himself, XFL Jim, and today we are here to tell you what a bunch of fucking idiots the College Football Playoff Committee is.
You're goddamn right we are.
Fuck. All right, real quick before we get into it, as always, we are presented by the Unwrapped Sports Network. Follow them on Twitter at Unwrapped Sports, on the interwebs at www.unwrappedsports.com. Get your merch at teespring.com/store/unwrap and head on over to patreon.com/unwrappedsports. Join the family, get on the Discord, get yourself some gambling picks so y'all can be a bunch of degenerates like us and make you some money. Let's go.
Right. And what you want to do is you want to take those picks you get from the Discord when you do the fucking Unwrapped Sports Chat, and you want to take them over to mybookie.ag. And when you go to mybookie.ag and get your fucking gambling on, you use promo code USN100 for a 100% deposit bonus. That's right. 100%. That's fucking crazy.
That is fucking crazy. All right. We're just going to dive into it because life happens and got some shit to get through tonight. CFP came out with their rankings. Number 1, Georgia.
That's fine. Everybody agrees on that. Everybody agrees on
that. They're fucking 8-0. They've been kicking the shit out of everybody. I don't think there is a single person in the world that is upset about Georgia being number 1 unless you are a delusional Alabama fan that thinks you should be number 1 all the time.
I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they exist. So I picked Alabama, but delusional fans are out there. Number 1, we don't care about Georgia. Number 2, also at 8-0, Michigan. Oh, wait, never mind. 1 loss, Alabama is number 2.
They're really setting this up for Alabama to go into the playoffs with 2 losses.
Why is Alabama number 2?
I have no reasonable explanation for you aside from that they just love Alabama.
Who have they beat? Who have they beat?
They've beaten Ole Miss. They've beaten Mississippi State. Those are decent teams. Those are good teams.
Would you call that a quality win over a top 10 opponent?
I would not.
Would you call the Florida game a quality win?
I would call it a win.
If they won by 7 or more, maybe a quality win.
That was a win. I wouldn't call it a quality. I would call that a clunker.
Yeah, I mean, they barely got out of Florida. They lost to Texas A&M. I mean, their loss isn't even to a top 10 team.
It's to a top 25 team technically now.
Yeah, I mean, they are top 25, but still, there is absolutely no reason Alabama belongs in the top 6, let alone at number 2.
This really shows to me that this year in particular, the committee does not care about losses. Losses do not matter more than big wins, but also Alabama doesn't have any big wins. So I don't know.
What are they looking at? Oh, it's Nick Saban. Let's suck his dick.
It's Alabama. It's the fact that they're Alabama.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing they have going for them is that the name of the school is Alabama.
Yeah,
and their coach is Nick Saban.
It's great.
They have done nothing to earn it. And I mean, we're going to get into this a little bit with who they put at number 3. And I understand that you could theoretically make the argument talent-wise that Alabama is a more talented team than these teams I'm going to put ahead of you.
That's such a bad argument.
But it's a shit argument. The record doesn't hold up for it. If you're ranking football teams, and I understand that you have to have an eye test category for this to break ties.
They have a loss.
But they have a loss. I don't care what the fuck the eye test says. You have a loss, and you have 5 teams behind them that don't.
Technically, you have more because there's an undefeated team who's not even ranked.
Yeah. What the fuck are you doing? Okay, number 3, who should be number 2 as it stands right now, or
I should argue they should be number 3. I would still argue they should be number 3.
I could give you 3. I could give you 3 there.
I just have a different team I would put at number 2.
Yeah, but either way, they deserve to be in the top 4. Michigan State.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to be at the end of the year.
But they could be.
They could be. They have earned the spot. It's up to them to keep it. I mean,
Kenneth Walker is one of the most electrifying players in college football. He's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, 5 touchdowns, 300 fucking yards rushing or whatever it was against Michigan.
God, he's
yeah. I mean, put himself at the top of the Heisman list with that game. That was a huge win. Part of the reason I'm not sure they're going to stay there is I don't know if that win's going to hold up.
I think it will. I think Michigan's a good team.
Okay. You have more faith in Michigan than I do.
Well, I mean, if you look at the stats, Michigan basically was dominated that game aside from just Kenneth Walker. Like, he was the difference.
Yep. So, number 4, Oregon. Again, why? They have a loss. And I mean,
if they're going by if they're going by their criteria that wins matter more than losses, that the big wins matter, Oregon theoretically has the biggest win out of any team in the top 10.
With Ohio, beating Ohio State.
So, like, if they're going by that, then I can kind of understand it. If that's their criteria, that wins are more important than losses, it just doesn't make sense for the Alabama then. But, like, if they're going by that, I'm fine with Oregon in the top 6.
Yeah, I put Oregon in the top 6. I don't think they should be top 4.
Yeah.
I'm
not as upset by Oregon as, like, the other ones. Alabama is just that's
a terrible position for Alabama. Oregon should not be top 4. What I'm getting at here is we have 4 undefeated teams, 4 undefeated top tier teams. That should be your top 4 at this point in the season.
Yeah.
I mean,
being undefeated should matter. And the most bullshit, we'll probably get to it later can we just talk about Wake Forest right now? If Wake Forest, if you have their exact same schedule and you replace their logo with the Clemson logo, they're number 2.
Yes.
It's disgusting. That's terrible.
That's straight up brand recognition. I wasn't really going to talk about Wake Forest because, like, that's the one I kind of understand because they haven't played like anybody yet.
But guess what? If that's Clemson, they don't give a fuck.
No, you're 100% right. I hadn't thought about that.
If they have the same schedule and it's Clemson winning the games exactly the same, they don't give a fuck. They're putting them number 2. It's bullshit.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, you could argue there are 5 undefeated teams that should be ahead of Alabama and Oregon right now, just simply by being undefeated.
I got 6. There's 6 undefeated teams out there. Just put them all there. Put them all in front of them. I don't fucking care. I don't care if UTSA has the worst schedule. I don't care if UTSA has the easiest schedule on the planet. Put them there. Fuck it.
I wouldn't go quite that far. I think you have to play real games.
These rankings don't matter. These rankings.
Well, that's also number 5, Ohio State.
Stupid.
Just stupid. They haven't beat anyone.
The only good thing about this Ohio State placement is that they're behind Oregon. If they were in front of Oregon, I'd fucking riot. That's insane.
But I mean, it's a circle jerk and it's not.
Their best win is easily Penn State, and like I'm a Penn State guy. I think Penn State's a good team, but how good? Like, it's not a better win than Notre Dame.
Well, and I mean, it's circular justification. They're like, we're going to put Oregon at number 4 because they only have 1 loss. Well, what about the undefeated team? Well, their only loss is to number 5 Ohio State. Well, what makes Ohio State number 5? Well, because they beat everybody except when they had to play number 4 Oregon.
It's
like,
they're really setting up to they're really setting up. I remember reading something about this. The 2 teams that the playoffs, that the CFP really wants to keep out, the 2 teams more than anything else, they want to keep out Cincinnati and Wake Forest. 1, because Cincinnati's a G5. 2, because Wake Forest is the smallest school in the fucking FBS. They don't have an alumni base. They don't have a fan base. So they're not going to bring TV eyes. So just fucking keep them out.
Yeah, that's just dumb. Cincinnati at number 6.
They should be number 2.
I was about to say I would almost argue them for number 2 ahead of Michigan State. I mean,
I would say Notre Dame's a better win than Michigan. I could argue either way. Michigan State and Cincinnati. The only thing Michigan State, aside from Michigan, every team they've beaten doesn't have a winning record.
Well, and Cincinnati has beat teams with winning records. They beat Notre Dame and Indiana on the road. I mean, I understand that Indiana is not the greatest, but they were a preseason top 25. They were supposed to be good, and they went to Indiana and won.
The biggest tell on this ranking for me is the fact that neither SMU nor Houston is ranked whatsoever. So they're actually preemptively taking away Cincinnati's only 2 other potential ranked opponents.
Mhm. Which is absolute horseshit.
And that could change.
thing
That could change in the following weeks. Like SMU could be ranked with 1 loss. Houston could be ranked by the time we get to the AAC championship game. So that could change, but that's kind of what they're lining up right here. Like the fact that Wisconsin is on here, and I hate to say this to you, Garrett, but like if Iowa's ahead of SMU at this point with 2 losses, NC State's on this list. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Iowa at 22. I don't know, but you got
2 losses is like killing me right here with a bunch of these teams.
Yeah, but you got a 3-loss Mississippi State.
I know. No, they shouldn't be anywhere near there either.
Yeah, like, and Wisconsin, I mean, I know they beat Iowa, so it's hard to put them behind Iowa, but once again, 3 losses.
I would I could swap out. Honestly, I could swap out 16 through 22 and like move Fresno State and San Diego State. I don't know, man. This is terrible. Yeah, but to be fair, these rankings don't. People will say these rankings don't matter, but guess what? The teams that need to win need to beat these teams, and like when Georgia when Alabama eventually, they won't play Kentucky, but when they play a team like Ole Miss and Mississippi State, who they dominate both of those games, guess what? They're ranked 16 and 17 now because fuck it, because they love Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the justification here. I mean, a legitimate top 6 here, if you were going to be accurate and not play politics and focus on this season, which is what you're supposed to do, you go Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan State, 2 and 3. I can argue either way there.
Yeah, you can flip those either way.
And then Oklahoma at 4.
Yeah.
And Wake Forest at 5. And then probably Oregon in there at 6.
That's how I would do it.
I
would do Oregon, Alabama, Ohio State.
Michigan should not be in the top 10 right now. They haven't beat anyone.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Michigan should maybe be like 13th.
Yeah, I like 12 or 13 with 1 loss. Yeah, that's fine. 7 with 1 loss ahead of 9-0 Oklahoma and 8-0 Wake Forest. No, maybe it's just me getting burned out by this or getting older or just sick of, but it just seems like every year it gets more obvious that these stupid CFP rankings, which determine the national champion in college football, the best team in all of college football, are just a political sideshow.
That's what they are. They're just trying to find the best TV deal. That's just what they're trying to find, the best show for TV.
There's no reason Alabama should be in there. There's no reason Michigan. I mean, as far as like even going to the top 10, Alabama is not a top 10 team right now. I guess you could argue
1 loss. I put them in the top 10. I put them in the top 10.
You could put them in the 7 through 10, I guess, with 1 loss. But not
we're not saying these teams aren't going to potentially make the playoffs. Like if Alabama wins out, they're in the playoff. If Michigan wins out and somehow still makes like the title game and wins the Big Ten with 1 loss, they're in the playoff.
Yeah.
Probably. Unless for some reason like Cincinnati, Oklahoma, and Wake Forest still all go undefeated, then that shakes things up a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, like even Oklahoma, like I don't think they're a top 4 team in the country when it's all said and done. They've just they
haven't lost.
Yeah, but they at this point in the season, they haven't lost. And they've played decent teams.
They played Kansas State. Kansas State's a decent team. Yeah. Texas, like all the teams they played, none of them are really like great, but they're all decent.
Yeah, they don't have any like stupid wins. I gotta pull this up again. I forgot to write it down. Alabama football.
Their best win, I would argue, for Alabama is Mississippi State.
Hey, they beat Mercer 48-14.
Actually, technically, if you look at these rankings, Ole Miss is their best win.
Yeah, which I think that's going to change as the season goes on. But I may be biased by somebody I listen to that hates Ole Miss, but still, and I mean, yeah, they beat Tennessee, but they're about the same. They're in the same boat as Oklahoma. They haven't really beat anybody good. but they beat a bunch of decent teams. But they have a loss. They also lost to a decent team. Oklahoma hasn't.
It's true.
So how is Oklahoma down at 8 and Alabama at 2?
It's because these games that Alabama wins, they beat the tar out of these teams, but it's their Alabama.
So, I mean, they aren't winning by any more than Oklahoma is.
And some of them,
unless you count Mercer and Southern Miss, which is an absolute joke.
Well, they beat the doors off of Tennessee. They owned Ole Miss. They didn't blast out Mississippi State, but they lost straight up to fucking A&M.
Yeah, and you got Mississippi and Mississippi State backwards. They rocked Mississippi State by 40
That's right.
and beat Mississippi by 20, which
that's right.
I mean, beating Mississippi by 20, yeah, but I mean, that's the same stuff that Oklahoma's been doing to people. Like, beating them by 14-20. And the fact that Alabama's ahead of Cincinnati, who has their closest game was Navy, who they beat by a touchdown. Nobody has been within. That's the only team that has been within 2 scores of them.
It's because they're Alabama, my man. It's because they're Alabama.
And I know that, but that's not going to stop me from yelling about it.
It's gross, and I hate it.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason for Alabama to be in the top 6, let alone number 2 team in the country. They just aren't. Stack their record up versus everybody else, and unless you're just going off the fact that Alabama's good every year, so we're just going to put them at number 2, which I had the same argument last year that the CFP rankings should not be about who's been good for the past 5 years. They should be about who's good this year.
It's what it's going to be every time. I hate it so fucking much.
And I mean, a lot of people, I think you got to put Michigan State and Cincinnati at 2 and 3. I mean, either order would be fine by me, but I don't think Michigan State's going to finish in the top 4 just because, I mean, they got to play Penn State
and Ohio State.
I think that's going to be a tough game for them. I think Ohio State's going to be a tough game for them. And same thing with Michigan. I mean, even if Michigan was the undefeated team, I wouldn't think that Michigan's going to hold on to that spot either for the same reasons, who they have to play yet. But at this point in the season, they have earned that spot. They deserve to be there. It's like when Iowa was number 2. I didn't think Iowa was the number 2 team in the nation. But based on who they had played and the fact that they were undefeated at that point, they deserve to be number 2 that week. That's how it is. And that's the same thing with Michigan State and Michigan. I mean, Michigan State and Cincinnati, I believe in. I think Cincinnati, if treated fairly, will be in the top 4 at the end of the year as long as they win out, or should be. Whether they have
to, but if the playoff is if it stays like this, then they don't play another ranked team all year.
If SMU wins out and plays them in the championship game.
If SMU wins out, they're not even guaranteed the championship game because guess what? Houston controls their destiny.
Okay, so they have to beat SMU, and then Houston has to play in the championship game.
So yeah, they're probably going to play both SMU and Houston. They're playing SMU for sure. And then
if Houston takes the other side and they play Houston in the championship game, that's their best chance.
Those teams could both potentially be ranked by that time. I would hope. You have to hope. That's the fact that it's not really in their control is what's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with the wins they have, they should be in the top 4, and as long as they don't lose, they should stay there.
Man, I bet Fresno State's really bugging that they lost to Hawaii. Because if they didn't lose to Hawaii, the way they have them right now, they could be a top 15 team.
Yeah, if they were at 7-1, yeah.
Yeah, with their only loss is a close loss to Oregon.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
I would say, and I mean, you got San Diego State all the way down at 24 at 7-1. It's like one-loss teams do not.
Well, it's just that just depends where you put Fresno State because San Diego State did just lose outright to Fresno State. So that's a tough one.
I mean, and that's why I didn't want to get into the whole top 25 because you get outside of the top 10, it gets really transitive.
You can make an argument for a lot of different things here.
Yeah,
the top 10 though is the Alabama one and the Ohio State one are the most disgusting to me.
And I mean, you could argue Iowa should be over Minnesota, but if Iowa's over Minnesota, then you got to put Wisconsin over Minnesota.
I mean, you could argue that for sure.
Yeah, because Minnesota has a loss to Bowling Green. Yeah, and that's way worse than either of Iowa's losses. And I'm not trying to toot Iowa's horn here because, trust me, I don't want to talk about the game last week because we looked absolutely fucking terrible. But
I've been there.
But still, we've lost to Wisconsin and Purdue. Those are both better losses than a loss to Bowling Green.
Yeah.
So,
it's top 10 though. Like, it's my two biggest ones are Alabama and Ohio State. Easily.
Yeah. Neither one of them has earned that spot. I'm kind of on the train that Alabama's not going to earn that spot this year. Ohio State could.
So Alabama needs to win out, but it looks like they're fucking positioning. Like if Alabama maintains it too, if they keep winning on their way to the championship game, like come conference championship game time, if Alabama loses to Georgia and it's close, maybe they only drop them to 4.
That'd be some shit. Which I don't know. They got to beat Arkansas, who has looked very good against everyone but Georgia, who has made everybody look like shit, and Auburn at Auburn.
I'm shooting my shot here. I have them losing to Auburn.
I think that's the most likely because they play LSU, who is worthless this year, and then New Mexico State because they have this weird non-conference week.
I have Auburn
so that they can just have a late season win.
I actually have Auburn winning out, going to the SEC championship game, and losing to Georgia.
Yeah, I would much rather see that than Alabama. Just personally, I would rather see that. I also think it's quite possible this year. I mean, if there's a year for it to happen, it's this year.
Auburn controls their destiny.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and you just every year you hear about how much the Big Ten is cannibalizing itself, and we just aren't as good of a conference because we don't have as many teams at the top. But like, what the hell is your argument if Auburn wins out and then beats Georgia?
I mean, also that doesn't really. I don't know if that applies this year because we have 3 teams in the top 10.
Yes, but you aren't going to see a 2-state or a 2-loss team that's not named Ohio State be in the playoff discussion.
No, you see Michigan State get knocked out. Like if Michigan State loses one game, they're probably like barely hanging on to the top 10.
Yep. And Alabama has 1 loss and no quality wins, and they're at number 2 in the country.
Yeah, it's
fuck ESPN. All right, I'm done yelling. Let's do some gambling, boys.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go rapid fire here. I gotta flip my page because I actually took notes for the college playoff discussion. That's how angry I was. Michigan State -5 at Indiana. Give it to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I was surprised it was only 5.
K-State -24 is my first pick against Kansas.
I looked hard at that, but you know me. Spreads
I know
over
you.
2 scores scared me.
I know you.
Which, give me Mississippi State +17 versus Alabama.
Ooh.
That's I understand we're getting a little dicey, but they got Alabama.
They're not playing
home.
Alabama. It's LSU versus Alabama plus whatever.
Where the fuck did I get Mississippi State?
I don't know, man.
I swear I saw that.
They're playing Arkansas, and they're a 5-point dog.
Okay, we'll take that one out because apparently I was on the wrong week when I saw those odds. Oh, hold up.
Let's do it. Where you at?
Let's start over. I turned too many pages. ULL -12.5 versus Georgia State. Give me the Raging Cajuns at home.
I don't hate it. I just don't trust ULL to cover spreads. They just haven't been covering for me this year.
And number 2, since you got your Kansas pick out of the way, give me Boston College +3 versus Vatech. They got Vatech in Boston. They've been a gritty team. They upset Baylor. Give me the odds.
I just don't. Yeah, Boston College has been. I don't know, man. I've been off them ever since they lost Phil Dracovic. Right. I'm actually going to be a homer. This is not just a homer pick, but this is also an analytical pick. Give me Nebraska +15. What does Nebraska do? They lose 1-score games. They don't win. They lose one-score games every single week. You give me a spread where Nebraska is plus 2 touchdowns, I'm going to fucking take it. Nice.
I realize you can't read that, but that was on my list as well.
They lose 2-score games. It's what they lose 1-score games. Sorry, that's what they fucking do. They cover these spreads.
Mm-hmm. I'm all over that. Also, give me the Army money line versus Air Force. I like the Army.
I hate that this is a neutral site game, by the way.
Yeah, but I like Army with the upset. Give me the Black Knights.
I'm all over Air Force in that game.
What else? Purdue money line versus Michigan State.
Ooh.
Purdue has been surprising.
Dirty dog.
And like I said, Michigan State should be either number 2 or number 3 right now. But they're going to fuck it up somewhere along the way. I don't think they're going to ride this out. I don't think they're really that great of a team outside of Michigan, who I also think is not that good. They haven't really played anyone. And Purdue's been hot. I kind of expected them to blow their wad with the Iowa game 3 weeks ago now, because we had the bye week. But they just kind of kept on rolling. So they might have something there. I really hate them, but I also see this as a huge letdown spot for Michigan State.
I like that. I'm going to be rolling with University of North Texas minus 4.5 versus Southern Miss. I think the Southern Miss team is in shambles, and I think North Texas is starting to get things put together. Give me North Texas here, baby. I mean, they're the bottom 2 teams in the queue, so like North Texas is 1-3, Southern Miss is 0-4 in conference. Yeah.
And on my big spread comment earlier, I hate for teams to win and cover big spreads. With my next pick, give me Navy plus 21 versus Notre Dame.
I feel like so many people are going to be on that.
That seems like way too many points.
I feel like so many people are taking Navy.
I don't think Navy's going to upset them, but 21 fucking points? Notre Dame? Come on.
Man.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. I'm actually on Auburn outright to beat Texas A&M. I think Bo Nix has been playing way better the second half of the season. I think that's the big difference maker here.
I don't hate that by any means. I think Auburn is kind of coming into their own. Foreshadowing, like we talked about earlier, I'm going to be looking pretty hard at what the dog lines are for that Alabama game. Basically anything over plus 200, I will hop on it. I think they're gonna give them a little bit of trouble. Kentucky money line versus Tennessee.
I like that. That's a tough one for me though. I'm big on
it's a toss-up game.
Yeah.
I don't even think you can get points on it.
West Virginia money line versus Oklahoma State. Weird shit happens in the mountains, my man.
Weird shit at that one.
Weird shit happens in the mountains.
Yeah. And West Virginia is just coming off a big game against Iowa State too.
They are.
So yeah, definitely. I looked at that. I couldn't quite convince myself to pull the trigger on that. I also almost threw them in the parlay, which is what I have next.
I got one more. I got a couple more just individual plays. I'm going to be rolling with Iowa minus 12. This is less of an Iowa play and more of a fade Northwestern. This Northwestern team's really bad. And Iowa's on a string of playing some like pretty good offenses, some pretty decent teams in like Wisconsin, and some pretty good defenses, honestly. They played a great defense in Wisconsin. And they had really bad turnover luck against Purdue. Northwestern, that's not going to matter. They're going to win. They're going to win comfortably here.
I like that. I was really surprised. Like, I felt bad for the Iowa boys after the Purdue game. Like, I figured Kirk and Brian were going to light a fire under their ass. And then Wisconsin happened. I'm pretty sure tonight there is not an Iowa football player that was awake past 7 p.m.
I believe that. And
then they're going to let them rest up tomorrow and Friday. But I'm pretty sure them boys were running the first 3 days of this week.
I am also
probably not even any reason. Just run around the football field till you get smarter.
Run the fuck out of them. Just like, hey, you guys are fucking stupid. You need to run more until you're smart. I'm also on UNLV money line against New Mexico. I think UNLV, they've been like on the very tippy edge, and I think against a bad New Mexico team, they can get it done here. New Mexico's chippy. They're very chippy, but I think UNLV is like they're the ones that get it done here. And then I also love Oregon -7 versus Washington. I haven't seen I've watched 3 Washington games. I don't think I've seen them score a single touchdown.
Yeah, Washington's kind of fell off the edge. I thought about. Oh, never mind. I put them in the parlay to lose actually.
Ooh.
So that's kind of a flip on me. I was kind of on the Washington train earlier, but they have definitely fallen off the edge and not met expectations. Speaking of that, parlay, all money line, and it is a homer parlay this week. I didn't plan it this way, but I got 3 teams in and it was all home teams. So I just picked 2 more home teams to make it an entire home team parlay.
I like that.
Oregon over Washington. We just discussed it. I like Louisville to upset Clemson. I understand that I don't really understand why it would be an upset, but they're plus 160 for whatever reason. So I guess they're the only favorite I have in the parlay, but Clemson has not been good this year. I'm not really sure what happened to DJ because he looked really good when he had to play Notre Dame last year. I really expected like there to be no drop off this year for Clemson, but obviously there was. And Louisville's at home, so give me them. ISU versus Texas, big bounce back spot. I don't trust Texas, and they're playing in Ames. Give me ISU. Arkansas over Mississippi State.
Yep.
I said it earlier in the year on a bet. I think Mississippi State's on the right track. I just don't think this is their year. Next year, watch out for them. And Texas A&M over Auburn. I like A&M at home. I respect what you said about Auburn earlier, and you're not wrong. But A&M, after a little bit of a shaky start, has really turned it around. Has been playing really solid, and they got them in College Station.
I only hope Auburn wins that game if your parlay is already dead.
That's fair.
I have my big spread parlay, but before I get into that, I do have to reiterate. I have to say something. That Iowa State-Texas game, if you can somehow parlay Texas to win the first half, Iowa State to win the full game, do that. Do that. Texas has been dominating first halves. And I've been breaking in cash, betting the fuck out of Texas first half and fading them for the full game. It's great for live betting. It's amazing.
Awesome. We'll have to keep an eye on that this weekend as much as I can.
Big spread parlay coming at you,
real
by
quick.
the way.
Did I tell you what I got roped into this weekend?
What happened?
Okay, so life stuff that I don't want to talk about. My parents had, for reasons I don't want to talk about, my parents had tickets to this couples retreat thing, and they can't go. So they're like, hey, if you and your wife pay for
Oh, you did tell me about this.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. Yeah, we talked about it on the Pick'em porch. We discussed this. So, yeah, that's going on. So I found out yesterday after we're all signed up. I have the day off work. We're ready to go. Apparently, they take your phone away.
Ooh. Interesting.
So
that's a big retreat. That's the capital R retreat.
Like, my mom said, yeah, my mom told me that I'm going to have to turn my phone off for the weekend. I'm like, do you mean the entire weekend or just when we're like doing activities? Because I have no problem with like the activity spot, but you do understand that Saturday is college football. Like, I'm not so addicted that I have to have it in my pocket checking the scoreboard every 5 minutes. Like, I can turn it off and go do our stuff or whatever, but like break times. Or
I am that addicted.
I
am that addicted.
I mean, I would rather do that, but like, I can man up and like go without and just look at the live scores on breaks and whatnot. But like to not know what's going on the entire day, I'm going to die.
Pretty wild. That's pretty wild. That's a capital R retreat, my man.
Yeah, I'm hoping she was just teasing me. I'm hoping. So. Like I can man up and be respectful and like, you know, leave it in the hotel room when we go and do whatever, and then during breaks go back and check scores. Like that's fine. I don't need to have it in my pocket all the time. I can man up that far. But yeah, if you expect me to go from 7 o'clock on Friday to 12:30 on Sunday without knowing what's going on in college football, That's going to be rough.
That's going to be real rough. That's going to be very interesting. Big spread parlay coming at you. Here they are. Give me Pittsburgh minus 21 versus Duke. This is a great bounce back spot for Pittsburgh against a terrible Duke team. Give me Georgia minus 38.5 versus Missouri. This is a biggin. This is a biggin right here, boys. Let's fucking go. Missouri is lucky that Vanderbilt is in that conference. Otherwise, they would be by far and away the worst team in the SEC. Give me Utah State minus 18.5 versus New Mexico State. Give me Florida minus 18 versus South Carolina. Also a really, really bad team. South Carolina is awful. Give me Kansas State minus 24 versus Kansas. And give me Michigan minus 20 versus Indiana. Boom. Fucking baby. This pays out plus 4,447. You bet 10, you get $440, folks.
That's way better than mine. I forgot to mention that. Mine is just over plus 1,000. So you bet 10, you get 100.
It's not bad though. It's still
yeah,
not
so
bad.
that's pretty solid. A lot more money than you're going to make betting each game individually, because other than Louisville, they're all minus odds. All right, so real quick, I'm going to hammer out the Degenerate Parlay, and I think we're going to have to call it quits there. Just stuff.
Let's do it.
So, Degenerate Parlay, here we go. We're going to get 12 games on the NFL. Jets at Indianapolis. I would say the Colts, but it's a big number, so I'm going to leave that one off for right now. We might come back
Mike White's
to it.
tearing it up. I love it. Give me the Jets there.
You want the Jets to upset?
Not to upset, but I'm saying to cover.
Oh, to cover? I could see him covering. I was talking money line. Sorry. You could
give me the Colts. Give me the Colts.
Yeah. The points I could see. Bills versus the Jags, minus 975. Also going to stay away from that one.
That's so easy, though. The Bills are,
Yeah. It's just that's minus 975.
Oh, yeah,
I'm working the odds. Holy shit. The Cowboys are 10-point favorites. How they are at home.
Dude, the Broncos are so bad, too.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I will take the Cowboys there. It kills me to do it. Give me the Raiders over the Giants. I know they got some shit going on.
They are down one of their best receivers now, too.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the young lady that died the other night.
That's fucking awful. Also, the Giants' run D is super bad, so Josh Jacobs is going to fucking tear it up this game.
Vikings at Ravens. Ravens all day.
Yep.
Falcons at Saints. Saints all day.
Yep.
Texans at Dolphins.
buddy, I don't know. I don't.
I'm going to pass on that one for right now.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Same with the Browns Bengals. That's a rough one.
That's a toughie. I would lean Bengals, but that's a toughie.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, the spread's only 2.5 points. So
yeah,
they aren't even giving the Bengals 3 points for being at home. Panthers over New England. They're playing in Carolina. Chargers over the Eagles. That one's fairly easy. Packers, Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs. No Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, no Jordan Love faith, my man.
Not against the Chiefs, no.
Dude, the Chiefs are bad.
I understand that they haven't been winning games, but Mahomes is...
He hasn't even been looking that good.
But he's fucking Mahomes, and you're going to put Jordan Love out there and expect him to keep up with Mahomes?
Honestly, yeah. Against this terrible Chiefs defense. I'm all over the Packers.
I'm kind of surprised the spread's only 7.5, to be honest.
Over the Packers.
Titans, Rams.
That's tough.
That tough. Tough too. I mean, it's 7.5 points to the Rams.
Well, they don't have Derrick Henry is probably why. I wonder if Derrick Henry's worth that much. And the Rams are at home.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with the Rams there. That gives me 8. I refuse to touch the Chicago game. I would definitely take the Bears and the points there at plus 6.5. I'd be really tempted.
Is Nagy coaching?
I hope not, because
that's what my entire bet on that game depends on.
Yeah, I don't know. At plus 220, I'd almost think it'd be worth sprinkling to stand alone, but I don't trust them to throw it in the parlay.
That's fair.
Give me the Bengals just because the Browns locker room is a mess. That's like the only reason. That's the only reason I'm going that way. Give me the fucking Dolphins because it is the Texans. And give me the Colts and give me the Bills, and that will give me my 12. I would rather take the big odds than touch that Steelers-Bears game because it is just
Honestly,
it's two unknown teams.
Yeah, I'm
Like
I'm
you
right there
just
with
you don't know. I mean, the Bears would have beat the 49ers if their defense would have held up the other night, last week, which is just absolutely shocking because the offense has been the problem,
I'm tailing you on all those, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. We got a couple toss-ups there, but you aren't going to put together a 12-game degenerate parlay without toss-ups. So payout plus 8,933. So you bet 10 and you win 903.
I'm also going to do an extra degenerate payout, extra degenerate parlay. I'm going to take the spreads on all those games too.
For the same teams.
Yeah, for the exact same teams.
Like it. What does that give
I
you
hate except for that Chiefs game. Except for that Chiefs game. I'm not taking the Chiefs minus 7.5.
That would make. I mean, I never trust the Chiefs to cover a spread.
They don't. They just don't cover spreads.
So no, I would not take the Chiefs spread in there. But I was kind of surprised it was only 7.5. I thought with Rodgers out, it would be more like a 10 to 12 point spread.
Okay, so the spread degenerates parlay is plus 251,763.
The spread parlay is bigger than the money line. Well, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking backwards there. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, put it into math for me. Bet 10, win.
Bet 10, win 25 grand.
I might have to throw some money at that one.
I mean, that's a lotto ticket. I'm betting $1.
Well, yeah, that by some money I meant $1.
I bet $1.84 to win $4,632.
That's damn near a lotto ticket, and I love it. Oh, all right, Jim. Where can the people find you?
You can find me every fucking where. Twitter at XFL Jim, YouTube at XFL Jim. You can find me every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, God's time at the gymnasium. You can find me over at betterthan.vegas, giving out picks left and fucking right. You can find me on TikTok. I got some sandwiches in my fridge ready to review. They're coming out. Be fucking ready, folks.
Awesome. And you can find me on the TikTok and the Twitter at Garrett from Iowa, the one, the only. Picks, commentary, criticism of the college football player committee, and occasional funny shit. So, and also, I love arguing with people. I'm a good follow. What can I say? Thank you all for tuning in. We love y'all, and we will see you next week.
Fuck the